So to start today, what we're going to begin with is looking at the quantity of goods produced, otherwise known as total product. We're going to look at each additional unit that's produced with each additional worker. This is marginal product, average product, and then we're going to take a brief look into marginal cost. So if you'll look here, what we have is we have the units of labor that are listed here. And as you can see, the amount of workers that I hire is increasing from 0 to 8. Now we would assume that as each additional worker that I hire, I should see an increase and a little bit more increase and a little more increase of how much I produce. But something begins to happen with workers 6 and 7. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the marginal product. Now here what you'll see is this is just a brief formula of what I have found. Because I'm increasing each additional unit by 1, I don't have to divide by the change in marginal product in this case. So I just have to look at the change of what output is. So from 0 to 1 I see that I can produce 10 units. Let's say that this was cookies, that we were a baker and we specialized in real frou-frou big cookies. So with 1 unit I increase my production to 10. With 2 laborers I can increase it to 15. At 3, 20. 4, it's only increasing it by 5, by 15. At 5, by 10, 5, 0, and then a negative. Now you have to remember that these changes that we're looking at here, this 10, 15, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0, and negative 5, these are all incremental changes. So how does this one worker affect my output? How much marginally am I increasing? Now from this region, from 10 to 20, what I see is that I am increasing my number of output marginally as I go along. So each additional worker marginally is adding something to production. This fourth worker does not add as much as the third. So at this point what I get is known as diminishing marginal returns. So the first 3 guys were very, very useful. Number 4 not as much, number 5 not adding as much, and number 6 definitely not. Number 7 and number 8, these guys aren't really going to be hired in the market. So at point 8, what happens is you've basically got too many cooks in the kitchen. Alright, so you may recall from Thanksgiving that it seems like your mom, your aunt, your niece, the grandma, the cousins are all in the kitchen trying to produce this wonderful feast. Well, what happens is when they're all in the kitchen, it becomes completely unproductive and we see negative returns. So this is what we see at this point, and this individual would not be hired in the market. Now, if I wanted to know on the average how much each additional person is adding, what I would say was I would take that 10 and divide it by the labor. Now what I find is I come up with something known as average product. Now what this is telling me is also known as how productive each individual worker is. So this is important because it tells me how productive I am being as a society. So now what we can look at is the cost structure. So simply I still have total products of 10 units. For each one of these units there's a fixed cost of $100, as you can see here. Now when I look at fixed costs, what this means is that I have some amount of rent even though I'm not producing anything. So I have to pay to rent the building in order to produce the t-shirts or the cookies, as we had used earlier. Now variable cost when I have no production is going to be 0. However, as I increase production, I expect this to go up. So in order for me to find total cost, it is the sum of the fixed plus the variable cost. Now, just like as we saw before, when I'm interested in marginal cost, in anything marginal, in this particular case marginal cost, what I'm finding is I want to know the change. So how did total cost change? Well, what I saw was that it changed by $90, $80, $70, $60. Then it starts to increase. Profit will increase. If I increase my production in this region here from 5 to 10 units of goods produced, then I will start to decrease, that is, my profit. And as a supplier, that's what I'm hoping to do, is increase profit. So this is a region that we will begin to not produce at. We will find that when marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue is when the seller will maximize their profit and become the most efficient.